As a seasoned diver, James was always on the lookout for a new adventure. So when he heard about the sunken ship off the coast, he knew he had to explore it. After hours of searching, he finally found the cargo hold, filled with treasure. But something didn't feel right. As James worked diligently when he tried to open the first container, he could finally open it. However, upon seeing the container's contents, James couldn't believe what he saw. How had this ended up at the bottom of the ocean? He knew that he should have listened to his gut feeling. This was certainly not an expected find. He grabbed his underwater camera and was sure to snap a few photos of what he had found. He also shot a photo of the container number before he decided that he had to go above water again. He knew what he had to do with this information. If he left this container on the bottom of the ocean, the perpetrators would never be found nor punished for it. James knew that he had to inform someone. The U.S. Coast Guard would most likely be his best bet. He couldn't help but question his next course of action. Would the Coast Guard believe that he had only found these things? Would they be able to find out how it had ended up at the bottom of the ocean? And most importantly, would they be able to find the true perpetrators? But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. James had always been in for an adventure. It had been something he always liked. Especially an adventure underneath the water was something he thoroughly enjoyed. He would wager that he had seen every place under the water near the coastal town that he lived at. It had been the reason why he had been so eager to explore upon hearing the news. After hearing that everyone who was aboard the ship had made it to shore safely, James had been happy to hear of the news of a ship having sunk. The fact that it had been a cargo ship had only added to that. He thought it would add to the underwater scenery he had grown so accustomed to. The next day, he invited one of his friends, Sam, to go with him on the boat and man his boat whilst he dived down. The two men, both driven by curiosity, decided to do it. James would be the diver, and Sam would be the driver. It was bright and early in the morning when Sam picked up James. After taking his precautions, James started to gear up, putting on his scuba suit, his oxygen tank, and other necessities. Aside from the camera that was fastened to his chest, he also brought a spare with him. Going into the cold morning water was a shock to the senses, but being a seasoned diver, James was quick to adjust. It was taking longer than James had originally anticipated. He had to go back up again numerous times to change his oxygen tank. He had decided that this would be his last tank. He was about to give up, but then he noticed something in the distance. It was a container, and it was huge. However, he had thought that there would be a huge shipwreck nearby, but as far as he could see, this seemed to be the only container. Others and the wreck itself might still be a bit farther out, but something told him that he had to check what was inside, this one in particular. James started to work on opening the container. As far as he knew, the containers were probably filled with water, meaning that they should be easier to open. The fact that it was lying at the bottom of the ocean on the seabed told him enough. After some effort, he could hear the screeching sound of metal. He could finally peer inside, but something didn't feel right. He got himself out of the shock as he scanned the insides of the container and took a few photos. He was hoping the camera on his chest was still recording. They needed proof of what was inside this container. James knew that he had to inform the police. Gasping for air and adrenaline pumping, James quickly surfaced, clutching his camera tightly. He paddled towards his boat where Sam waited anxiously. "Call the police," he urged, showing Sam the photos he had taken underwater. It was imperative that they inform the authorities immediately about their underwater find. Initially, the police were skeptical when James called. "A diver finds something strange in a sunken container? That's not our usual kind of case," they muttered. They agreed to meet him for a detailed discussion. At the police station, James laid out his photographic evidence with a steady hand. The grainy images showed the inside of the container, with shapes and forms that didn't match typical cargo. James's photos were compelling. They were a window into a mystery lying at the bottom of the ocean. The mood in the room grew serious as the police began to understand the implications of James's discovery. James felt the weight of responsibility grow heavier. He wasn't just an explorer anymore. This discovery could be dangerous. As a diver and a citizen, he felt compelled to stay involved and help uncover the truth. Recognizing the need for his expertise, the police officially brought James onto the team. His knowledge of the seabed and diving skills made him invaluable. Gathered around a table with maps and equipment, James and the team discussed strategies. A specialized dive team was formed, blending experienced police divers with James's insights. At dawn, the boat set out. James led the way to the location where he had made his discovery. Descending into the depths, James's guiding lights pierced the darkness. The divers followed, focused and alert. The seabed came into view, and there it was, the container. Silent and massive, it loomed among the sand. They moved outward, exploring the surrounding area. More containers were found, scattered across the seabed. Each was documented with care. When they opened others, they found normal cargo, electronics, furniture, and clothing, typical for a shipping vessel. But the first container was different. Its contents remained an enigma, setting it apart from the rest. Why did it hold something unusual while the others did not? Back on shore, focus shifted. James joined the police in tracing the container's history. They pored over shipping manifests and checked databases, looking for anything that could explain its journey. Soon, inconsistencies emerged. Dates didn't match. Destinations were altered. It looked like someone had tried to cover something up. These irregularities hinted at a deeper secret behind the container's presence on the ocean floor. It was clear that James's discovery was more than a diving anomaly. The investigation was only beginning, and whatever truth lay behind that container was something someone had tried very hard to bury. Despite the efforts to obscure the truth, the team pressed on, piecing together fragments of data to trace the container's origins. With each new detail, it became evident the container's records were deliberately tampered with. As theories emerged, explanations ranged from maritime accident to orchestrated sabotage. Some believed rough seas sank the vessel, while others suspected foul play tied to the container's contents. No theory was dismissed. James and the investigators weighed every possibility, aware that the answer could lie in the most improbable of scenarios. Soon, the investigation attracted international attention. Requests from foreign agencies poured in, with many governments seeking answers about the container's cargo. This added a new layer of pressure, as the investigation became a matter of global interest. As media outlets picked up the story, the situation grew more complicated. Then came a chilling possibility. What if the ship was deliberately sunk to cover up illegal activity? The idea that someone might have orchestrated the wreck to destroy evidence prompted the team to reevaluate everything. A potential lead emerged in the form of a former crew member with a suspicious history. His record included unexplained absences and questionable contacts. With James's help, the police began investigating his possible involvement. Soon, a striking detail was uncovered. The ship had deviated significantly from its planned course before sinking. The route change was unexplained and possibly intentional. The team reviewed navigational logs and satellite data, searching for a reason behind the deviation. As the suspect's background was scrutinized, links began to appear. His timeline and movements lined up too closely with the ship's final voyage. Financial and communication records revealed a broader network of potential criminal ties. The suspect's involvement in illegal operations seemed plausible, possibly even central. What started as a shipwreck investigation now pointed towards something far more sinister. The team's scope widened. It was no longer just about a mysterious container. It was about uncovering a web of international crime. Clues pointed toward smuggling and organized activity that reached far beyond national borders. Then, a dramatic twist changed everything. The suspect was linked to an international art theft ring. Suddenly, the strange contents of the container made more sense. Could they be stolen artworks? James and the team began comparing shipping timelines with recent high-profile thefts. The patterns aligned. The evidence suggested the container might be holding priceless artifacts. Working with art crime experts, the police began unraveling a sprawling smuggling operation. What had started with an unusual container was now exposing a sophisticated international network. The intricate web of crime they were uncovering was far more expansive than anyone had anticipated. Efforts intensified to trace the stolen art and its movements since the theft. The team pursued every lead, tracking shipments, interrogating associates, and scanning records. Each piece they recovered added clarity to the wider network of illicit dealings. A key breakthrough came when one stolen artwork surfaced in the possession of a local dealer. This rare piece, tied to a high-profile theft, finally offered the team a tangible link to the broader operation. Upon verification, it was confirmed to have been on board the sunken ship. The discovery set off a wave of arrests. Each new suspect provided valuable information, revealing how the smuggling network operated. The team was finally peeling back the layers of deception that had shielded the operation for years. As more evidence came to light, it became clear this was no isolated incident. The police began piecing together the full scale of the operation, exposing a well-coordinated criminal enterprise. But the mastermind remained elusive. Investigators intensified efforts to uncover the identity of the person behind the operation. They combed through financial records, communication logs, and testimonies. Despite their efforts, the orchestrator remained hidden behind false trails. That changed with one vital lead, a reclusive art collector known for illegal acquisitions. Though unknown to the public, he had long been a notorious figure in underground circles. The team finally had a face and a name. As they investigated the collector, a long history of illicit activity came to light. His low profile had helped him evade attention for years. Now, that secrecy was unraveling. International links emerged, revealing a sophisticated smuggling route that spanned multiple countries. Determined to catch him, the team devised a sting operation. The plan was simple in theory. Use the collector's known interest in a rare art piece as bait. But in practice, it had to be executed flawlessly. A private auction was arranged, with the target piece prominently featured. James and Sam, using their coastal expertise and network, assisted in the logistical setup. Their efforts helped ensure nothing could go wrong. As the auction began, tension rose. Undercover agents and the entire team were in position. When the collector arrived and moved to acquire the stolen artwork, the trap was sprung. In a dramatic confrontation, he was arrested on the spot. Though initially resistant, he ultimately confessed to orchestrating the entire smuggling network. The confession confirmed everything the team had uncovered, and more. With the mastermind in custody, recovery operations accelerated. Many of the stolen pieces were located and returned, yet not all were found. Some remained missing, lost to the vast black market. Though the case reached a resolution, it left lingering mysteries. The recovered art offered closure, but the missing pieces served as a reminder of the underground world still out there, complex, secretive, and dangerous. This case had ended in victory. But for James and the investigation team, it also marked the beginning of a broader battle against international art crime they were now more prepared than ever to face.